time. So let me start by beginning with an inspiring quote from Muriel Stowe, who once said, "Do not follow where the path may lead. Go instead where there is no path and leave a trail behind." So I think this has been one of the most inspiring quotes, and it resonates so much with me personally because what he's trying to say is get out of your comfort zones to find and create new opportunities by navigating in the uncharted territories. And this is very important. Why? Because this actually is the beginning of the birth of innovation, entrepreneurship, and leadership. And that's when you get out of your comfort zone, and especially when you're on a high, then you start learning the new tricks of the trade and you start innovating to remain afloat. Friends, as Muthu said, the world of business is behind three key takeaways. One, resilience, trust, and perseverance. I think these matter most in such circumstances. That's the first takeaway for me personally. Number two, we humans can adapt and transform overnight when pushed to the wall. We've just seen unprecedented transformation to a digital and virtual world practically overnight. I mean, my guys in Sweden were stunned when India could deliver, after 2 days of disruption, 100% when it came to our IT and technology centers. They were amazed. The kind of transformation which happened, we could not have imagined, and this pandemic taught us. The third is, we have been reminded of the value of empathy, equity, and inclusion, and coexistence in society. And I will talk about it a little more in detail. The underlying word here is coexistence and not simply existence. And I think that is something we have learned in a very, very big way. I am an optimist, and I believe that the pandemic has also brought several opportunities and silver linings for us. That I will keep it for a separate day. I will come to Mangalore, and I want to talk about on manufacturing as to what are the possibilities and why India can really leapfrog in the area of manufacturing, but because of paucity of time and to focus on some of the leadership aspects, I want to keep that for a separate discussion. But I think I also would like to compliment the CII Mangalore team, the kind of work which you guys have done during pandemic. I think that was, it really surprised me, the kind of commitment, leadership, perseverance. I think you guys actually demonstrated some of the key leadership traits actually in practice. We are talking today, but you can all pat yourselves in the back for, I could see when Ramesh used to conduct those weekly meetings on resources, on the societal outreach. I could see the way Jeevan and other people from Mangalore area, the way you guys were responding. I think my hats off to you all, and my genuine and sincere thanks to you all for doing that, the community outreach, and you have actually done CII a lot of proud by what you did. This is very important because, as neuroscience tells us, that there is a rub-off effect of the company you keep or the narratives that you follow. It trains your mindset accordingly. Number 7, organization culture and aligning with strategy. It's very important. There are 2 steering systems in any company, as all of you would know. One is culture, one is structure. I think it's very important that we work more and more on culture, because structure has only limited bandwidth. It can serve you only up to a particular point. But ultimately, it is culture, how to align culture with strategy and culture with structure. I think that's something very critical. This is another topic. We have done a lot of work on this. I will like to share some of the experiences out of this. Number 8, get inspired by the principle of doing well by doing good. And I think you all have demonstrated this in no uncertain terms. It says that as corporate citizens, we work in the same social ecosystem as that of our neighboring communities, be it villages near the industrial plants or communities around our offices. It is quite clear we as individuals, society, business, We cannot operate in isolation forever. Friends, we cannot be rich in isolation. We cannot be healthy in isolation. We cannot be happy in isolation. We cannot enjoy a good weather in isolation with the entire ecosystem supporting us and feeling. And that is what pandemic has told us. If one village is not well, the rest of the villages will also not be well. I think it's very, very clear. So I think this pandemic has left behind several good messages. Number 9, courage of conviction to shape the future. Leaders demonstrate courage of conviction. Leaders often stand out courageous beyond the normal, not because of greed, but generally because of strong conviction in what they believe, as belief in their people to make things happen. They are determined and ready to tackle obstacles. And friends, finally, number 10, leaders are good stewards. Leaders are consistent in their beliefs, core values, actions, behaviors. They have a fierce sense of urgency. I am sure many of you have actually demonstrated during the pandemic some of this. As I conclude, I want to leave one final thought with you all about leadership. Friends, leadership is at the highest level is like a lighthouse, inspiring, galvanizing, and guiding teams to
spread out of Bangalore, and Mysore was always there, but that is his initiative of going to the districts. So you could see, like we used to wonder what the CII would give us. This is what CII gives us: great leaders who would inspire us, who would motivate us, and that is the strength of CII. And the kind of commitment he has given, as our past president and past chairman Jeevan has mentioned, his health was not, but the spirit in which he took forward the inputs he has given, particularly, it's a great message during these times. I think so. Leadership is the key, and how to hold on to the leadership and getting all along our people to be very positive, giving the confidence in them, having the trust in the people, most important, being optimistic. That is the most important thing which he has told us. And some lessons we have learned from this pandemic with regard to our culture, and which has, the pandemic has taught us so many things which we had forgotten actually. That is how he has summed up, and the courage and consistent leadership is very, very important. It's been a great privilege for us, and if you ask, we would have been greedy that both past chairmen should have been here physically, but it was great hearing from them. I think so. It's one of the best days CII and Mangalore had, which we always thought we should have such kind of an interaction. Particularly our past chairman Prakash is always used to say that we should have such kind of programs where our great leaders would support us. And we have seen this all along, that in this organization, one difference which we had seen is the past past chairmen just don't go away. They handhold us, they will always be with us. That is what the culture we have seen in CII. And once again, I think so, thanks to all our past chairmen and our present chairman for making this day a fantastic event. And I think so, most of us, all of us, I think so, we have enjoyed this evening. It was very purposeful and great. I can say we have come out with a great of positivity in these tough times, and maybe like everybody is foreseeing what he mentioned with this regard, that we should have a special care on taking more than the reservations. I think so, giving them the equal respect and in our workplaces, and giving them equal opportunities. I think so, that was a fantastic talks we had given with regard to 6 of his points, and a lot of takeaways for us. And I think so, it's been a privilege that he could be here physically, which we always wanted him to be, and it has been a great evening for us. three top leaders of the state, and Dr. Muthukumar, as our past president Jeevan has already mentioned, he is one of the main reasons for having Mangalore chapter, and he is an outstanding leader, and he induces, he gets in a lot of positivity among us. In his speech also he is mentioned that the kind of positivity he gets during the worst time, the most difficult times, positivity is the strength where we live on and we improve on. So, great hearing from Mr. Dr. Muthukumar, as always, has been very, very supportive to the Mangalore chapter. We would have loved to have both Dr. Muthukumar and Mr. Kamal Bali to be here physically. It would have been a lot of difference if they had come, but they have promised us that where the very next meeting, Mr. Kamal Bali will be here, and Muthukumar is always offered that whenever you need me, I'm here. So fantastic hearing from him, and also his encouragement of getting in young entrepreneurs, encouraging young, supporting the innovation. Some of the successful entrepreneurs here supporting one startup with innovation. It's a great initiative. I think so. A lot of our members would be motivated in taking ahead this, which would make a lot of difference in this society and for our young entrepreneurs. And coming to our keynote speaker, Dr. Kamal Bali, I would like to state that when this proposal of CII Mangalore district came up, I was told that it was an initiation by Mr. Kamal Bali when he was the president of CII, that CII should get into the districts. It should go deeper.
Talking about leadership, let us first understand who's a leader. A leader is not a guy who sits in the corner room. Okay, anyone who decides to step up and make a difference is a leader. My definition of leadership is anybody, whosoever decides to step up and make a difference is a leader. That's all. You don't need anything more in leadership. That's all is what is leadership. So if that is so, I think leadership is not merely about motivating and inspiring people. It is also not merely about change, what we talk about. It is about transformation. It's about mindset and cultural shift. Leadership is about defining, creating, and leveraging boundless opportunities. With some reflections from a broader canvas, let me share with you 10 ideas for emerging leaders or leadership in the emerging world. And this is also not from any book. This is out of personal experiences. I've tried to put together some of these. I will just touch upon some of them, but when I come to Mangalore, I would like to have discussion, more deeper discussion with some of you gentlemen and ladies there. I think first thing about leadership or for leadership in an emerging world is establishing a higher purpose. I think that's something very critical. It starts with purpose. We are today living amidst younger people who are in the midst of social, ideological, technological, and macroeconomic nuances. They see every day. They are seeking clarity. Everybody is confused. So much happening. Sustainability, innovation, partnerships. Everything is so fluid around. People are seeking clarity and a higher purpose. These are indeed circumstances in which the leadership purpose becomes a key to lead, galvanize, and inspire. In a way, it's a way through the fog of the unknown to manage uncertainty and complexity. And if you pick up various companies, what is Volvo's purpose today, what is IKEA's purpose today, I think these statements have a very, very clear meaning, and how we are walking on some of those purpose statements is very, very critical. So therefore, setting your purpose is crucial. The second is trust. Trust is the new currency, and I think this is something very, very critical. And trust, and how do you develop trust? If you are transparent with each other, people will start believing you, they will start trusting you, start collaborating with you. So I call it the concept of TTC, transparency leading to trust, trust leading to collaboration. And I think this is something very, very critical for me when it comes to leadership. Number 3 is passion. And I think passion is the fuel for leadership. It's a well-established fact that common purposes galvanize us to come together. But the challenge or the purpose must be accepted. It is very important that behind the ambition we set out, we have a clear reasoning, whether it is pertaining to global climate or the quality of life or safety or well-being or prosperity of communities. I think this is very, very important. With that done, it is passion that acts as a fuel for leadership. Number 4 is staying optimistic. It's a very important leadership requirement. Under very, very difficult circumstances, people look up to leadership. People want hope. And I think this is one very tricky but very important aspect. Staying an optimist is akin to taking ownership and responsibility for outcomes. We all know when conditions are optimal, thriving is relatively easy. When conditions are bleak, thriving looks like a pipe dream. Optimism and pessimism are both projections of how things will play out. And the choice to embrace one or the other often is the eventual differentiator, my friends. And this is true. And how you look at, and it is similar to looking at glass half empty or half full. And as a leader, let me admit that optimism is one of the crucial things that will galvanize people towards a purpose. People like hope. Positive attitude and mindset is indeed infectious, and it is something that we should not mind spreading. I think we should spread more of that. Number 5, make a lot of small bets and aim for small victories in tough times. Don't be tough on yourself. Don't set very big targets. Set small, low-hanging fruits, targets which you can achieve very, very quickly, especially during tough times. You want to feel good about things. It's very, very important that leaders also set those targets along with people which are achievable and which can be done together. It's important to feel happy. Number 6, avoid the company of all doom and gloom sayers. Clearly, the resultant shift which I see is heavily biased towards 5 or 6 behaviors. I think one is very clearly forging new partnerships. Clearly an era of new partnerships is emerging. Either you partner or you perish. I think this is clearly my take. Second, embracing digital transformation. Very, very clearly embracing digital transformation. I think people have already talked about it, but I just want to probably recall some of these very important operating keywords which are very critical. Next is ushering in a new culture of people centricity. Everything is around people now. Employee centricity. I think the way you're going to deal with our employees, even for companies which are very evolved companies like 3M or Volvo, we need to go through a paradigm shift when it comes to our people. Then proactively driving the holistic sustainability agenda. And I think Ramesh has very clearly defined some of those holistic sustainability agenda in terms of economic productivity, in terms of environment friendliness, in terms of societal inclusiveness, all of that. And I think all the time seeking new business possibilities through innovation. I think these are some of the things this pandemic has hastened this process of thinking. Friends, as a nation, we are at a cusp of an unprecedented socio-economic transformation on the back of massive technology changes, rapid digitalization, favorable demographics, reasonably stable macroeconomics, despite tough situations, and probably the war may lead to some of the challenges in this context with increasing inflation, geopolitical shifts, and an aspirational young population, together with a host of converging parameters that promise to open up never before opportunities for our young emerging leaders. And when it comes to opportunities for innovation or for solving compelling societal challenges, I don't think there have been better times before. But before I share my thoughts, on the emerging paradigm of leadership, let me step back a bit and connect and reflect upon the last 23 months. I think the last 23 months have left behind certain messages for all of us. I personally believe that it has been like a pause, reset, and a fast forward button.